8:14 on WSKB. Ken is not in Ken's den today. Ken is in Las Vegas. In the meantime, we have Kathy, who's had to run to her car to get something she forgot because she didn't want to make Ken upset. But did you do a rant?
No, I did not do a rant because no one can rant like Ken. There's just no way to do it.
I can rant about Ken not being here.
We could do that. We could rant about, he's not here and he's probably up to something nefarious at this time.
No, he might
in the
have
morning.
just gone to sleep right about now because it's 5 o'clock.
So we can rant on Ken all we want. But good morning, everybody. Welcome to WSKB 89.5 on FM from Westfield State University. This is Ken's Den. And as you heard, he is not with us this morning. Bob Plass is leaving the building this early.
I know, you're not going to stick around for a few minutes? Yes, come on, stick around.
Do we want you to talk? Well, I don't know about that, Bob. There's no way we can stop you from talking, actually.
Stick around, Bob, for a minute.
But anyway, so we are here and we are going to have Chef John Slarity with us to talk about things that he's been doing, and that should be awesome. And then we have Bob is still with us for just a few minutes.
Bob wants to plug Canoe the Musical.
I know he wants to plug Canoe the Musical.
That's okay, we're here to plug.
Unfortunately, we don't need any therapy, though. I'm good for that.
You don't need any therapy?
Wait a minute. Bob needs therapy after that last hour.
Oh, did you hear that? That was really interesting.
I was listening. I don't think I'm going to go on a new career path, though, at my age. I think I'm good. I think I can handle it, but it did distress me, Robert. For those of you who didn't hear the first couple hours, it was a very interesting topic, and the woman's name was what?
Blair Hopkins.
And she's written a book
called All in a Day's Sex Work. It's not a lurid book.
No.
It's a matter of fact.
It's sort of, I don't even like to use the word expose because expose always implies that it's something really
It's a look into a look into a world that we don't get to look into very often.
But it's very interesting because a lot of these conversations now are becoming mainstream conversations.
Well, it pulls back the layers of
the
It pulls back the layers of the onion is what it does. It demystifies it a little bit.
But you wouldn't have talked about this 5 years ago.
Oh my God! I was kind of like concerned that boy, can we talk about this subject this early in the morning? And is it a question? Is it in questionable taste? No, I don't think it's in questionable taste. I hope we did it tastefully.
No, I don't.
They're human beings. They're human beings, Bob.
Well,
they're just like anybody else. They put their shorts on the same way you do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to leave this topic.
Maybe better shorts than you have.
Hey, I'm not. No. I don't wear shorts at my age. Do you wear shorts?
Shorts. Oh no!
Summer?
Oh, no one's going to see my legs. No. I have my hair is gone totally on my legs. I look like Ken.
And when I was a kid, I remember my parents saying, "Oh no, I'm not wearing," and I couldn't understand that, but now I'm there.
Yeah,
I don't put on a bathing suit.
No. There comes a time in a person's life that the body is now my own, and
Here's the thing.
It's no one's going to see.
Go for it, Peter. What's the thing, Peter?
When I go down to Florida and it's 90 degrees and it's hot in shorts, I don't care what I look like at that point.
But in Florida, nobody cares. I guess if I was in Florida, I would too, because there's too many people.
No. If I were in Florida, I'd still be wearing the long. I'm still wearing the long pants.
Bob, you'd be transported to the hospital every other day for dehydration.
No, when you go away, like we're going away later in the year to Portugal again, and it's hot, and the people who live in the hotter regions wear pants. The natives, the people who live there are. They can always tell a tourist because the short is not worn by anyone. Shorts are not worn by anyone but the tourists. And so if you want to be taken for a tourist when you're traveling, wear shorts. If you want to be taken for a person who lives there or fit in with everyone, you wear long pants. So I fit right in when I go to
Well, I wear capris, but as we said on social media,
I can't wear capris. So they make men's capris.
You can wear whatever you want.
Yeah, but do they make
capris
for men?
They're called Bahama shorts. They're long. They're almost like
That's
a capri.
true. Clam diggers, Bahamas, capris, pedal pushers.
Same thing.
Oh.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
They did. They did have them for guys a while ago. I don't know that they're still in fashion.
No.
You know what? At
I
our
love
age,
mattress
Bob,
shorts.
we're not looking at fashion any longer, honey. We're into comfort.
And no one's looking at us.
No. So you have Canoe the
yours.
musical. Tell me about this musical coming up that you have.
It's 4 characters. It takes place. We write it when we were in Buffalo doing it.
I did hear you say you rewrite, but coming from experience, I know you rewrite everything.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I rewrite it right up into the very night of the show. I mean, a lot of it is.
That's because you haven't learned it to begin with.
Oh, well, sort of like, how many years have I been doing your Christmas Carol? That thing must be 15 years
jeepers, now. I don't know.
I think it's 15. I think this is our 15th year.
Well,
and
Abby
I still
McCarthy
don't
was
remember
Tiny Tim, and she's graduating from college somewhere.
That's exactly right.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, and I think we are going to do it. This may be the swan song of A Christmas Carol for Bob. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm still trying it. You have a new play that you've written for me.
Yeah, I'm working on the 350, Bob, and it's just part of the issue. For those of you who don't know, we do have the 350 coming up next year for Westfield. It's supposed to be a great celebration. We have fireworks, we have parades, we have agencies and businesses and schools all trying to do their own type of undertaking, so it really should be a really, really great time.
Right.
And I'm starting on a musical that will celebrate the history, and I think the name of it now is Time in Westfield, and it's sort of a Time in Westfield, and it's sort of a time travel type of arc to it. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a comedy. It'll be light. But Westfield has such a huge, intense history that finding the episodes that I want to use is really very difficult to pick and choose. I mean, obviously there's the tobacco, obviously there's the whip industry, obviously there's the canals, obviously there's the railroad coming through, and Columbia Bicycle, and the churches and the schools. But trying to pick and it's not a history lesson. And I don't want to put people to sleep by going, oh, God,
here we go.
We don't care that in 1825.
You're right.
So you want
then
to
you got to put it into song.
And it was tough. And where do you start? I did do some investigating and research into the people that were living here before we were. And that's almost impossible to find that out because, the indigenous people didn't have a written language then. Although they were not truly nomads in a sense, they did tend to move around according to the weather, the seasons, whatever. Most of the Native Americans in the Westfield River Valley were actually farmers.
Weren't they mostly in Agawam area too?
No. What happened is something like 75% of the population died in the early 1600s from what's called the Great Sickness. And it was a plague that they think was brought in by the French traders. So when the English, and keep in mind, we tend to always think the Pilgrims, they were the first ones. Plymouth
Vikings were here.
They were not.
Yeah.
They were not. They weren't even the first Europeans to settle here. The Dutch were already in New York. The Spanish were already down in Florida. The French were already here. But we're the first viable colony.
Right.
And when you think about it, that was 1620. Westfield comes along as early as 1630s and 1640s.
Right.
People are moving.
Rapid expansion.
Yes, Pynchon got his
We always thought that happened in the 1800s. It didn't.
No, Pynchon got his first land grant in like the 1630s, William Pynchon. So they were already moving into this river valley. And the Native Americans that were here, I can't even pronounce it, Moukasset, something like that.
I thought they were a variation of Nipmuc or something like that.
Well, that's tough to find out too, because
and the Abenaki,
they throw in the word, the Abenaki were to the north, but they throw in the word Algonquin, and lo and behold, Algonquin isn't a tribe. Algonquin is a language. So we had the Pachasics, and then you check another source and it says they were all the Massachusetts Indians. We had the Warnokes, who were part of maybe the Pecumtuck tribe. The Nipmucks were further down. I can't even, it depends on the source I look at.
Sure.
It gives me different information.
Do all of these folks at one point, do all of the Indians move west?
They pretty much after King Philip's War, they moved out, but they were not a huge factor in the Westfield River Valley. They were here to trade. I started to say that they were mostly farmers.
Right.
And then the French came in and started doing the fur trading, and the beaver was the biggest one, the beaver and the muskrat. They were two of the biggest animals they were looking for. So quickly your Indians are, Native Americans, are changing over from farming communities to now industry, now trading communities. And their first settlements were, hello folks, Squawfield Road.
Oh, wow.
Big settlement there.
Sure.
Big settlement down where Gulf Acres is. In fact, the Guida Farm, where it's now condominiums, I guess. But the Guida Farm was a big archaeological dig. Tons of things they found. Yep, tons of things they found. And those, I believe, are upstairs in the museum. You can see some of the items dug up there.
At the Edwin Smith Museum at the Westfield Athenaeum.
Yep. The other big dig is my neighborhood up in the Pachasic area, and that was Wallop's land. It was called Lumps Bottom.
Lumps Bottom.
Yep, because it was the river bottom land. And we tend to think of Westfield as north side, south side. It wasn't. It was all Indian, Native American land. It wasn't north and south. So,
it was high ground and low ground.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
So they went from my end, the Pachasic side, over to about where Franklin Avenue is. That was all his territory. And he was the son to Alquat. Alquat was the settlement down around the Gulf Acres area. So
I love it.
And it's
so you're
really
going to start with the Indian, the Native American. We can't use the word Indian.
I probably will not.
You're going to hit right to
mention where they were and that they were here, because honestly, we're talking about the incorporation of the town.
Right.
It didn't have a lot to do, other than how we procured the land. And the settlements that came in. So, are we coming up to a break, Peter? So we're going to leave you off for a minute.
I'm going to take off because you know that my life revolves around Kelly and Regis.
Even
though Ryan.
They haven't been.
Ryan.
I know. I keep saying Kelly and Regis because the 9 o'clock hour for my entire life has been Regis and Kathy Lee.
Bob.
Oh, I know.
I'm so worried about you, honey. I'm so worried.
Come and see me perform on Saturday
I will do
night.
my best.
Tickets at the Shortstop. At the door, and also online at Westfield on weekends, and at Blue Umbrella Books. And if you're a member of the Senior Center, the Westfield Senior Center, you can purchase them there, and you get a little discount. So
excellent,
it's great.
All righty, well, thank you very much.
I wish I could stay on to talk to John Slattery. He's such a great chef coming up. Yeah.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Whenever I'm asked what makes my dreams real,
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Wally Computer Associates, one of the largest technology providers in North America. Headquartered in Southwick, Wally provides all of the products and services that you'd expect from a world-class technology partner to schools, colleges, businesses, as well as state and local governments and agencies. Wally Computer Associates, meeting all of your technology needs. On the web at WCA.com.
WSKB's programming is generously underwritten by Whip City Fiber, Westfield Gas and Electric, where they offer gigabit internet speed. Whip City Fiber, turning Westfield's neighborhoods into fiberhoods. On the web at whipcityfiber.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Wednesday mornings start off right from 6 to 8 a.m. with Tina Gorman and Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
And good morning. We are back with Ken's Den. I know I don't sound like Ken and I don't look like Ken. Ken is on a very well-deserved vacation in
Las Vegas.
having a grand time, maybe sleeping now. I don't know what he would be doing. What is their time change out there, Peter?
I think it's -2.
Is that it? Wait a minute. Yeah,
It's
okay.
either, it's 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
That questionable mountain time zone thing that I always...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So maybe he's awake. Who knows what he's up to? I have warned him that he must behave himself because I'm the senior adult influence in his life. We're in trouble, aren't we? Yeah, we're in big trouble.
Yeah,
So here we are this morning. We are talking to Chief John Slattery. The phone lines are open if you want to call us.
got a
with
promotion.
question. Chef, did I say chief?
They are
Chief.
synonymous.
Well, he is
You were
the
talking
chief.
Indians in the last
Yeah.
segment.
I know, he is the
Indigenous
chief.
peoples of
Chef
Greater New
John
England.
Slattery. There you go. Did I get it right this time?
I think so.
Okay, good. It's too many years in third grade. They don't say anything right. All right, if you want to call in, it is 413-572-5579. You can tune in on Channel 15. And I want you to know, Peter, that it is working well this morning.
Yes, we found out it was the
Sound-
Comcast equipment.
There you go.
After they sent it,
Imagine that.
after they sent a technician out, and I had checked my whole chain all the way through. Their head end person was insistent it was our equipment, and I said no, it's not because it's happened before. So with the Comcast tech went on, we met up, and we went up to the technology center, and we reset the device, and then we walked into the break room, and turned on channel 15, and lo and behold, there was sound.
Interesting. I couldn't get any sound yesterday, John.
No.
Nothing
And I
did.
can't reset that device from remote because I don't have access to it because it belongs to Comcast.
Correct. Well, we're up and running today.
Yes.
So if you don't have that, you can always watch us on westfieldtv.org, or you can wait till later on, or you can not watch it at all. I don't know. Hopefully we have more than 2 or 3 people out there listening and watching. So, welcome. We have missed you.
Ah, yeah.
And I want you to know, I have this great responsibility that there is a task Ken has charged me with that I must have you do.
But we'll only wait till the second hour for
And
that.
wait,
It's a teaser.
this is the build-up now.
Teaser.
This is the build-up. This is a build-up. It is of the utmost importance, and you must complete this task if you were to go on. No. Just so you know.
Is there a picnic basket involved? I would expect him to be here for that.
The picnic
A
basket.
picnic basket, yes.
It is not the picnic basket, but it is very... I had to run all the way back to my car.
Oh, okay.
All of a sudden, I had that deer in the headlights look with Peter. I went, oh, I forgot it. I gotta go. Have Bob talk. I'll be back. But I made it back.
We're fine.
So we're good.
So, John, what did you do for Mother's Day?
Well, this year
Did you work or did you actually take the day off?
I worked, but only for a short amount of time. I was asked to work an omelet station for an event at Club One where Elvis and Rod Stewart performed after brunch. So, as part of my
Was
business,
it Ray or
it was Ray. Yeah,
Ray did
Awesome.
Elvis?
He did a great job.
Who did?
I honestly don't know his name.
There's a guy in the area that does
Rick,
Rod.
I think is his real name.
Yeah, and he's really good.
He plays the part very well.
Yep.
Very entertaining. There was, but I got the benefit of for First time in 19 years to not have to plan the Mother's Day or worry about the seating or anything like that. My job was to make omelets for the 120 or so people.
Because I thought you might have been doing like Shaker or something like that. I thought you might have had something going on with Shaker.
I helped them a couple months ago while they were getting their staff together for the season, so I think that they're good. That's part of my business, is that I help individual operations on a as-needed basis, as well as focusing on those with their home meal plan prep and parties at their own spaces. So,
But did you cook anything special at home?
Well, we had a
Mother's Day.
really nice dinner on Saturday night as the family and everything. With my new schedule, I'm doing a lot more like day work or only working a few days a week, and then have a lot more time to spend with my wife and my kids. So it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
So he's like Gordon Ramsay now. He comes in and does spot work.
Comes and goes. I could use that. Bob had an interesting question for you before he left on the fish. Could you sort of repeat that conversation
Chilean
for
sea
us?
bass?
Oh,
We had a long discussion about that.
The nearly extinct Patagonian toothfish is a very, very large, prehistoric-ish dating species that lives in South America down by
In the
Chile.
deep water, too,
In the very
we found.
deep water. And it's a very large fish, and it has that beautiful white meat that has been sought after for all these years, but has been hunted to the point of a dangerous level, they say.
So are they going to stop fishing that fishery, or
I still see it out there. I've been told in certain places it's not able to be sold anymore, but I do see it sometimes. A lot of places are using it, maybe a different fish too, and calling it that,
because Chilean sea bass is not the name of the fish,
right? It's a Patagonian toothfish.
It's basically a whitefish fillet type of thing.
Yeah, there's truth in labeling. There's a lot of different things that market restaurants and things like that. You have to really trust your purveyors to sell the right proper products.
I see, and I see that a lot where they call it one thing, and then you go on social media and it says, no, it's not that.
Well, back in the 70s and 80s, like fish markets would pull one over on chefs and unsuspecting customers, where they would take a skate is a type of fish like a ray, and they can cut chunks of the flesh and it looks just like little scallops. So they would sell it as scallops, and people would know. So
let me ask you
dubious
this.
food similarities.
I'm curious. When they sell that imitation crab, what is that actually?
That is pollock, mostly a fish. Sometimes a little bit of crab, and then a lot of soy protein and all that other stuff that they put in food these days.
I see that. What do they use it for? The imitation crab? Do you use it in salads?
Well, that's that seafood salad to the American person is that imitation crab meat type stuff. Very rarely we ever see a seafood salad that's actually made of real crab and lobster and shrimp and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Unless it's $25 a pound or more.
So besides your venture on Sunday, what have you been up to? Tell us something you've been doing, because you are doing great things.
Lots of fun stuff. Spring is here, so I really focus. I love the fact that we have all such indigenous native
Yes,
produce.
I was going to ask you about those.
And so last week when I was on Mass
wanna
Appeal,
know.
I was able to feature some of those in a delicious native spring frittata. And what I really think is important
For people out there that don't know what a frittata is, what's a frittata?
a frittata is
I don't know what any of this is. My fridge has eggs. That's it.
Well, that's one of the ingredients.
frittata is an Italian name for omelet, but usually in America it's a baked omelet, or so it's got a lot more filling in it than a regular omelet. You can't flip and fold it per se, and a lot of times it's put in the oven for about 10 minutes to finish it, and it floofs up a little bit, kind of souffle-ish, very light and fluffy, and you put a lot of ingredients in it. It's like a quiche without any crust, so you can make it gluten-free.
Okay.
So a lot of time, and also a lot of times you'll see frittata is like an open-faced omelet, like they do with the whites and the spinach and the tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. It's very popular in breakfast restaurants. But springtime, green vegetables, and the reason why Mother Nature is really kind to us. I think she's awesome, honestly. And now at this time of year, the ground thaws out and all these little things start poking on the ground. Mm-hmm. Now we just spent all that time in the winter with not getting enough sunlight and being inside, having too many clothes on. And our bodies are depleted of lots of nutrients. So the very first things that we can eat that come out of the ground, the ferns and these wild leeks and the asparagus, are all packed with nutrients. Spinach, baby spinach, all these green native things. So I love to feature them in a lot of dishes. I went foraging for fiddleheads along the banks of the Westfield River out in Huntington for a day.
Now, did you find them? I did go look.
I had a friend who has a spot where there are some, and I only took what I needed for the event for Mass Appeal. But there are lots out there. It was probably past now.
Now tell people what these are, because I had to go look it up.
Fiddleheads
He asked
are
me, and I had to go look it
a delicious variety of fern that you harvest it before it actually unfronds and makes you have to get them as a clump in the ground or just coming out of the ground.
Because it looks like
the tuner knobs on the fiddle. Yes. Yeah. So and they're delicious. They are a lot like asparagus and Brussels sprouts and freshness. And you can blanch them real quick and then eat them like that. Or a lot of people pickle them, or they saute them with garlic. Or I like to put them in omelets and quiche and that kind of stuff as well.
That's how I like my asparagus, is sauteed with garlic. And
yeah. So anywhere you would use fiddleheads, you would use asparagus simultaneously. It's a great combination.
Hadley grass.
Yeah, that's right. Right. They're having a big festival, or they just had a big festival coming up.
They did.
Yeah.
I think they had it already, didn't they? The Asparagus Festival?
I don't know, but I've always heard it called Hadley grass, and I find that funny because those big fields of asparagus out there. And they're a big plant.
They are because they're allowed to grow, so the crown gets bigger and bigger and bigger on the ground, and they continue to produce tons of asparagus as they get old.
Yeah, so what I was told my father-in-law was growing, it takes a couple of years for the plant to mature enough where you can really start harvesting it.
Yeah, never harvest. If you're planting them from seed, never harvest them the first year. Only take a couple the second year. By the third year, the plant's established, and you can start harvesting.
And they get bigger, yeah.
But always leave. And if you let them go to frond, then that'll make that clump give more next year. So every year you pass up a few, you'll get even more the following year. I was talking about the ramps, which are wild leeks, and those are really the very, very first thing that you see if you look out into the dry hillsides as you're driving down the highway, and you'll see little bits of green.
And leek is analogous to a cousin to the onion?
Right, in the onion family.
Oh, yeah, I know what I used to have those. I don't have them anymore.
So with cows and cow patches, they definitely tried to eradicate them if they had them on their property, because if the cows grazed on this, even if you walk through the woods, you can smell the garlic in the air. So if the cows love this sweet, delicious leek and they graze on it, you get garlic-flavored milk before you even made the cheese. So kind of neat. I guess some farmers actually specialize in that, where they kind of take
garlic-flavored cheese,
right? Through feeding the cows a diet, so that it kind of passes through it in that manner.
I know that when I'm out in the field, there's a lot of catnip. And I know that they used to make catnip tea out of it, and it was an old remedy for asthma.
Oh, the medicinal wild walks that they do, they teach. There's a lot of. You're talking about the indigenous peoples. I mean, they knew so much about the land around them. Bioregional herbalism is what they call it now. People that specialize on really learning what an area had to offer and how it benefited the people of its area. And I try and focus on that as a chef. I really try and work any of those medicinal, edible things into the food as much as I can. Another one I found out about just this year was something that a lot of us call bamboo, because it grows really, really fast and has these really hollow stalks. It's actually called Japanese knotweed. And it's an invasive species. It grows like crazy, there's a lot of side of the road stuff. But it when it first comes out of the ground, it kind of looks like asparagus. It's red and green. It also looks like rhubarb. Well, it also tastes just like rhubarb. Don't eat a lot of it raw, but you can cook it, make rhubarb jam, and all these other kind of things. I made some strawberry knotweed jam, and it came out awesome.
And that's called knotweed?
Knotweed.
Yeah. I see a lot of that on the side of the road. I really do. We do have people, honestly, that come up and dig up the dandelions.
Oh, yeah.
For dandelion greens.
Especially in the big cow, you get those big, tall green. Those are sold. You see them in the grocery store. They're like 10 times the size you see in your normal lawn, because they're grown in such healthy soil.
Now, what do you do with dandelion greens?
Just like Swiss chard or collard greens or kale or any of those other greens. They're a little bitter to start with, but if you blanch them first and then saute them, or if you're cooking them with a lot of robust flavors, the bitterness kind of goes away. But blanching them will take the bitterness out.
Okay, we'll be back. I have another question for you. I have a whole list of questions for you.
Oh, boy.
All righty, we shall be back. Thank you, Peter.
So don't
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its third generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Placek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Discussions of local politics, events, happenings, and miscellany potpourri. Ken's Den, Tuesday, 8 to 10. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
And we are back here this morning with Chef John, not Chief John, Chef John.
I answered
Although
many,
we can
many
still
titles.
call. I know we can call you Your Majesty if you would like to.
None of that.
Again, the number here to call in is
We've run the gamut
Stop.
again. We were talking
Stop.
sex workers in the 8 o'clock hour or the 7 o'clock hour.
Oh,
With a, if you want an interesting book, Blue Umbrella, she'll be there. The
It's
author,
eclectic.
Blair, will be there at 5 o'clock signing copies and talking about her book.
I heard the title as I was driving in, but I didn't hear the discussion, so very interesting.
It was interesting.
It was fun. It was actually a good kind of like groundwork discussion.
It was.
It wasn't anything sensational. It was about people in their job.
Food is sensational.
It
Food
can
is
be, yeah.
sensational, and
It
if
can be
anybody
very
has
sexy
questions,
too.
call in at 413-572-5579. Focus, boys, focus.
It can. I
Very much can.
I cooked a pork belly. I smoked a pork belly
Yes,
over the
I know.
weekend.
Yeah.
And
Pork belly.
well, you know what? The butcher block sells it now,
Nice.
like 3-pound chunks.
And raw, so you can smoke and do your own thing with. That's fantastic.
Correct. So
yeah.
the hardest part about a pork belly is removing the skin. That's the hardest part. Is getting that slice so you don't lose all the fat.
Right.
Then I smoked it and you refrigerate it, put it away, and you bring it out when you want it. And Kyle almost cook it like bacon.
Basically, yeah, nice and fry up little squares of it. Just
Did I hear him invite us over? No.
You know, no.
I didn't hear
I got another one in the freezer. So
So one of my new gigs I've been doing is doing, well, part of it is making meals for people, specifically people like with health conscious awareness or needing to, they may have had somebody study their numbers and nutrition and say that these are macro numbers. I learned a lot about macro numbers and how to apply them to
All right, what is a macro number?
Well, people pay attention to the calories, the carbohydrates, the fat, and the protein. The four things that get broken down further as you really pay
Affect your
attention.
diet.
But yes, exactly. And
So my 5 donuts a day and diet soda wouldn't fare well, would it?
well, I mean, if that's all you eat, counting your calories and figuring out your thing. Some people choose that. If that's the way they want to. If you're only allowed 1,100
So the
calories, you
macro
might
number
eat 2 candy
takes-
bars and be done for the day, and that's how you in a diet Pepsi. But
so the macro numbers takes all this into consideration?
right, you have to track it all.
Okay, and you build a meal?
Right, so I build meals like 1/3 of a macro for the day. So
Oh,
I build
okay.
a lunch and a dinner for that person, and that way,
Nice.
but doing fun things. I'm learning more, like using pancetta or prosciutto. Yes, they're very fatty, but you can get them sliced so thin at the deli.
you get the flavor.
You can incorporate that little bit of fat into it. So, and the prosciutto has very little fat, but it's a good source of protein. And if you're not worried about your sodium, you can add flavor to a lot of your healthy vegetables by using these very thin slices of that from the deli. So I recommend that. Neat stuff.
Now, how many of
Yeah, or
these
you can-
meals do you do?
As many as a person wants. So one client has 8 meals, so 4 lunches and 4 dinners. Or another family has just a family meals, 3 family meals they put together, and things like that. So
So you cooking them all the way through, or you just prep and then
Nice.
let them cook them?
different levels for different clients. So when I do the initial consultation, I evaluate the equipment in your kitchen and what your dietary preferences are, your flavor profile, look in your cabinets, and then we build from that. And then, depending on how you purchase or whatever, it's based on the time it takes me to prepare your food and your grocery bills.
Now, how do you market this? Do you market it on social media? Do you just do word of mouth?
I've been placing my card on social media for people and word of mouth, and it's been a amount of.
So
traffic.
if someone out there listening wants to use this service, how would they get a hold of you?
ChefJohnSlattery.com is my homepage with my bio, my background, and the contact information for any services you may need.
And probably if they just Google that, if they forget the address, they can just Google and come up with you.
Right, ChefJohnSlattery.com.
So you're trying any other pop-up events coming up? Or I know you did that for a while last year.
I would put them on hold for the summer. I'm looking at a couple different projects in the month of June and July. But if depending on how those plan out, I'll probably try and squeeze a pop-up in towards the end of June, like one a month through the season. Different venues and
Explain
locations.
to people what the pop-up events were, because I thought they were actually cool.
So a pop-up event is
They are.
when I contract with a venue, and if any venues are interested in hosting a pop-up, you can contact me through the website as well. And I go in and I utilize their facilities, come up with a menu and a plan. I'm also using those as a feature night. So for, like, say, the prime rib that I've sold in different restaurants throughout Western Massachusetts will be available on a Thursday night, and I'll give about a month and a half lead time and sell the tickets online, and then you'll be come join us for a Chef John prime rib dinner or a fish fry night or different events like that throughout the season.
Mm-hmm. And you've been doing those for a while.
Yeah, I did a few. I've kind of done one. Did one in December. I did one in January. Then, like I said, I helped Shaker Farms for a month and worked with them on location. So I kind of held off on doing individual events. And as I get contracted for different events, I'll squeeze in things for the public. And I really, the one-on-one, the personal culinarian services is where I really focusing, helping people with their diets and their busy schedules and how to eat healthy and that sort of stuff.
That's the hard part right now. I mean, I work till whenever every day, and then I come home and try to figure something out. Last night, I was eating one thing and cooking another for today.
That's very common, yeah.
Just trying to get stuff prepped. So
What time do you get to eat, Peter?
Usually around 7:30
That's
by the
not too
time
bad.
all's said and done. But that's late for me, because when I was growing up, it was more like 5:30 or 6.
Americans eat so much later now, I think, in general. I mean, with after-school programs and sporting events and things like that, it's really hard for even the family to sit down together until 7:30 or till sunset, because we're all clocked on doing as much as we can with the daylight, and America runs 24 hours a day now. So,
But that's also why I enjoy the smoker so much, because I can prep a big piece of meat and freeze some of it and eat some of it and give some of it away if I have a ton of it. But it helps with meal prep for the week, because it's you can incorporate that into other things.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's some of the other services I offer, where a customer may get in on buying a half of a pig or getting a deal on large pieces of meat, or I'll come and I'll cut some steaks and I'll prep some for this way and marinate some for them and put them in the freezer and in the fridge and different things like that.
Now, you said you had a couple different things coming up in the coming months. Can you share that, or is it a big secret?
Well, we're still working on the details. Definitely some involvement in one or two summer camps over the summer
nice.
in different levels. So that'll be a lot of fun, and just in continuing to pick up more work on like this seasonal stuff. Farmers markets are coming. There's some opportunities for some festivals and fairs too. Right. So
I also saw in Westfield News last night Park and Rec is looking for ideas, and they want to offer more things to adults. And I wonder if that would be anything you could do.
Well, there's a big kitchen at Westfield Tech, as long as you promise to clean it up afterwards.
That's and
it's open most of the summer. I mean, it's available.
Oh,
they are looking for things to open up for Park and Rec, and they said they were looking for an adult type
That's something
of
to follow up
service.
on. Let me know who's running that stuff.
I don't. Well, you would probably get a hold of Jim Blastjack down at Park and Rec. It's on Holcomb Street. And again, Google it off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I don't,
just stop in there.
I think it's J Blastjack at Westfield. .org,
we just
maybe.
interviewed his boss, and I can't.
That might be fun, like a picnic class or something like that.
It
or
would
like
be. And you'd probably find a lot of people interested in doing it, especially in the summer months if they don't have anything.
I could sneak in a little safety about the mayonnaise in the sun, and then how to make some stuff that's a lot more stable than that too. So that'd be neat.
Yeah. Oh, before one question I really want to know, and I'm dying to do this. Nettles.
What are nettles?
What do you know about cooking nettles? Anything?
What are you talking about?
Boil them
Nettles.
because they sting.
Nettles.
What are they?
Stinging nettles.
It's
The weed.
become a big thing now, and I've seen it several times.
It's like a pricker bush?
Well, you don't want to pick them with your hands
Right.
because your hand will just immediately start burning and itching. But supposedly, if you boil them, they're like a spinach. It's a
Correct.
green.
I mean, exactly.
Have you ever tried it?
Once. I didn't cook them. I had them as part of an indigenous dinner and stuff. And
And should I try it?
I mean, they're green. They taste like spinach. If you don't mind I don't want to harvest them because of the whole prickly and the burning part. So,
Yeah.
but I guess if you wear the gloves and they're proper, I'm just a chicken, I guess. But
See, I thought you would tell me how to do this.
wear gloves.
Personal protective equipment. Wonderful thing.
Well, yeah, I've got a field full of nettles. Everywhere I step, there's nettles out there.
So you get a big cauldron going and harvest, pick all the leaves and boil.
So that'd be
them
like a
away.
20-quart stock pot. You just get a roll of
If you want to do a
oil
whole
and
bunch
just-
at once, yeah.
Now I have a question for you after the top of the hour, I want you to think about this. Is it? I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. Two things I'm interested in: a vacuum sealer and a meat slicer. Are those good
questions.
investments for a home kitchen? So we want to do that after the break.
Sure.
All right. Take a break
Yeah.
here. Go ahead.
We are done.
We're done?
We will be back shortly.
We completed Ken's
Chef
task
Ron.
for the first hour.
No, here's his list.
It is 9 o'clock on WSKB
He
West.
left
We'll
us
be
a
right back
list
after
of
this.
things he wanted to.
programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Discussions of local politics, events, happenings, and miscellany potpourri. That's what you'll find on Ken's Den, Tuesdays from 8 till 10.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Okay, and before we left at the top of the hour, Peter, you had some questions for him.
Yes. Meat slicers. Should you buy the ones that you see on Amazon, or should you go poking around? Look for estate sales or restaurant closings or something like that.
I would buy one used to test it and see if you like that model before I invest in one. Honestly, I would definitely.
Does Kittredge still have? Are they still around? That's where I bought a ton of stuff when I was younger.
They're still there. They moved. Well, they're not still there. They moved to Agawam and are on General something or other road.
Do they still have like a showroom?
They still have a showroom. Yep.
Ooh.
Now, what is that? I'm not.
Kittredge
familiar with
Restaurant Supply.
that. Okay.
They were right next to the bus station in downtown Springfield forever. I mean, forever.
Yeah, classic.
And I bought when I was living with my parents, we went down and bought a 20-quart stock pot to make sauce, and you'd freeze everything, and then we did pickling pickles with that thing. Monster. I mean, it's just a monster aluminum stock pot, huge.
They have everything to equip any restaurant from your mom and pop shop to MGM. So
and there's another place up in Holyoke that's right across from where the parade starts.
Yes, Gillette Restaurant Supply.
That I've been in there before too, just poking around.
And that's it's sometimes you can find a piece of used restaurant quality equipment for as much as you would buy a Ronco one off at somewhere or whatever.
So like a major manufacturer like a Maytag or I know there's different major manufacturers. Frigidaire, they do home restaurant equipment per se.
Right, and they're home restaurant. So even like Waring, they say Waring Pro, but they're still not really restaurant equipment. They're just upscale. Or
what's the difference?
If they say that they're restaurant quality, they usually have a better warranty and are hopefully made with better parts than their regular kitchen models.
So same function, just in a bigger scale?
A bigger scale with probably stronger parts. Because what it is, anything is only as good as its weakest part. So when they're making a slicer, say, the bearings on a $70 slicer are not as sturdy as the ones on the $300 version. Even though they may be similar, and you might even get the same result for a while, but the longevity of the product is the answer. And
then the other big thing I had was to want to talk about was, especially since now my current situation is I'm single, vacuum sealing. What kind, what style, what should you be looking for? How much should you invest in something like that? Does it make sense?
It's definitely a useful tool to have, especially for a single person, so you can do some of those bulk shopping and prep days to free your rest of your week or month up. So definitely, for freezing stuff, taking out all that extra air helps prevent crystals from forming, prevents freezer burn. For products you're going to, some of your cheeses and meats that can stay in the fridge will really increase their cooked
So you
meats.
could buy like a 5-pound block of cheese, like American cheese, and freeze them, or vacuum seal them in 1-pound blocks.
Right, as long as you're really clean and wear gloves when you do it. When you cut your larger pieces up and then properly process them, they go back in the fridge, and because they're sealed, they'll last a lot longer. So
because I also freeze American cheese.
How
too.
long can you freeze cheese? I've never tried that.
Probably well over a year.
It depends on what you're going to do with it afterwards too. So cheddars and things like that can usually be frozen for as long as food can be frozen for.
How long can food be frozen for? That's a question people always ask.
Isn't the rule of thumb for meats like about a year?
I've kept them longer than a year. Honestly, I have. If they're in my freezer and I don't open the door, and they're in there and they're deep frozen. I've kept them way past a year.
Once something is deep frozen, if it stays in that state, it can last definitely. I mean, they make you 2-year shelf. I mean, packaging and legally, there's even a frozen product. I think it's a 2-year shelf life according to the USDA or whatever. But as far as your own personal consumption, it's on your health and well-being. Check the quality of the product when it comes out. If it comes out and if it hadn't been freezer burned, it comes out and it still seems wholesome, then
the pork doesn't hold as well. The beef holds up very, very well when
it's a more denser meat.
The pork doesn't hold up as well.
Do you vacuum seal it?
They package it for me, so I.
But it doesn't. Interesting.
I don't know where we take it and have the animals slaughtered. They do it.
There's more moisture in pork too, so I imagine that the density and things, so the crystals break more, and the meat just doesn't.
One year they
might not have sealed it right too.
Yeah, years and years ago, it wasn't. We don't go to this particular company anymore, but they didn't smoke it long enough.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, and it turned green.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We lost it. We had to throw it out.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. No one likes to lose food.
So vacuum sealer.
Oh, definitely good investment, especially for the person who wants to stretch their budget and
So if you have like a BJ's account, or you want to go to Arnold's or Butcher Block, or once in a while, that makes more sense then.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's also you can use it for marinating, putting in your flavors and stuff like that, and vacuum sealing it allows it to get into the meat faster. As well as there's a process called sous vide, which is cooking things in a water bath at a certain temperature.
There's a local guy who was a smoker, Scott Bassell, has got really into sous vide, really into it. Yeah. It's a constant temperature water bath.
It's like a slow cooker, but because you vacuum seal the ingredients, so they're sealed in with the fat or the flavors you put in, say with a piece of meat or vegetables, and then the water stays at a constant temperature, so it slow cooks them, but it slow cooks them in their own juices, and the water doesn't touch them, so it's keeps everything, all the nutrients and everything within it. Fancy restaurants got really big into using them for their steaks, where they'll cook them till they're 120 degrees, perfect medium rare, but they look weird on the outside, and then they sear them on the hot grill.
They do a finish. It's called a reverse sear or something like that.
Right, when you do the sear at the end.
You do it at the end, yeah.
Now, what price range are we looking at for the vacuum sealers?
I've seen decent models around $100, I'd say.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was seeing when I just kind of poked around a little bit on the internet, just seeing for pricing.
I guess the difference
you got the supplies too.
Yeah, the roll of plastic and such. But the biggest thing I think about those. Where you're getting them from is make sure it has a good warranty, because if you try and you don't like it, almost all of them have some kind of guarantee. So the biggest thing Americans do is we buy stuff we don't like and we put it on the counter and forget to just bring it back because it was no good, or didn't fit our needs. So but it should.
That's not something you're probably going to find in a restaurant supply shop. Because they're more into the
they're
hard,
gonna have a very
hardware.
very expensive one, but you can definitely get away with a lesser model for home use, doing a few pieces at a time.
So that's one of the things where you can get away.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about it for even sauces and things like that, where instead of putting it in a bowl type thing, you put it in a bag, and you could quickly, especially if it's cold, like a spaghetti sauce you want to freeze or something.
Yeah, solid
like that.
sauce.
Soups, no.
Yeah, because it'll try and extract the liquid while it's extracting air. But yeah, chili or tomato sauce or any of those things, or even if especially if you want to package, you make a big batch of chili and put it into make quart size sealed packages and throw them in the freezer, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
really good.
And then, like I said, for me, I have a side by side freezer refrigerator. I need to be able to stack things. Like bowls don't do real well in a side by side.
Yeah,
they don't, because they take up a ton of space.
No, that's true. That's true. Side by sides are tough to pack anyway.
Yes.
I have a side by side.
Yes.
But I have 3 freezers down cellar.
Well, yeah, you're lucky then. 3
That's
freezers.
Awesome.
Yes, there's a few bodies down there, so and be very careful. Actually, I've been known to freeze a cat now and then. So. Well, it was the middle of winter. There wasn't much I could do about it. So we are almost up to your task.
You might as well.
So
why don't we go to the break in a few minutes and let them start analyzing?
We'll go to the break, and then this is your task for the day.
Is it a standardized test?
Here's
No, it's what she's holding in her hand.
I am holding now. Ken goes to this bar in the airport called O'Bricky's,
In Boston, BWI.
Okay.
and he has a Bloody Mary, and they rim the glass with this.
Oh.
And he wants you to tell him what is in this spice.
Now he has in a sealed envelope, and I watched him seal it. Is his guess for what? And we're not supposed to open that until the end of the show, right? That's Ken's
until
guess as to
until
what.
at least he's done his guess.
Because you can buy this this at the restaurant in the airport,
Right.
O'Bricky's, but they do not list an ingredients list.
no,
They just
don't.
say spices, I'll bet.
Yep.
'cause
Yes,
yeah,
they
that.
do, because they don't want to give away their secret formula.
You know, it's like the McDonald's recipe years ago when they wouldn't tell you.
Well, as
the
part
secret
of,
sauce.
As part of my signature services, my rib rub and my fore rub and the different things I've created over years are all available. I come into your house and I make them and leave you a jar. You don't get the recipe list.
Right, exactly.
Oh, and the plot thickens. So
Well, that's what everybody
we're
does
going to
at the
go to
barbecue.
break. You're going to test that, and then we're going to write down the results. And I will hand the envelope to Peter, and he can open it.
No, you can read it. I'm good.
The unveiling.
The
Yes.
unveiling. Let's go to break.
We'll be back right after this.
Move yourself. You always live your life never thinking of the future.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
Underwriting for community radio is provided by the YMCA of Greater Westfield. Every day, the YMCA strengthens the community through programs and services focused on youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. For all the Y's many programs and services, visit us on the web at www.westfieldymca.org. The YMCA, 67 Court Street in downtown Westfield. We're more than a gym. We're a cause. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Okay, and it just dawned on me, Peter, I apologize to you. We were remiss in introducing you with your nomenclature as Kitten of the Keys.
Oh,
So
the Merry Mixmaster of May.
Yes, I have failed in my task. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Not worried about it.
I failed in my task. So we are back,
Slides and buttons.
and your task is to tell us what spices, and I have to write this down.
Dun,
then I
dun,
need to have
There's a guy online. Was it Todd something? Does this for a living. Breaks down the recipes.
He's the palate.
Yeah,
Todd the palate.
he breaks. He sells books on it, like breaking down all these fast food recipes and stuff like that. He sells books on it. I get emails from the guy because I've actually bought some of the recipes just to try.
I mean, with research and trial and error, you can duplicate just about anything.
So
that's
you are
part of what I do. You like something a real lot, I'll come really close to duplicating it.
Well, in my mother's school of cooking, it was, needs a little of this. Needs a little of that.
Right.
That's probably what you do.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Yep. So you said salt and pepper.
Oh, yeah.
This concoction, for those of you who can't see it, it's a tiny cup full of some kind of spicing. It's mostly brown.
There's some yellow.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking
It looks
salt,
like
pepper,
beach sand.
coriander,
Coriander.
and
Oops.
maybe some celery seed.
Okay. As you're tasting away.
Yeah, well, now.
But you say the salt and pepper is very strong, and salt and pepper are strong
The
flavors
salt takes over my
anyways.
tongue. The pepper is very strong. But in the first couple tastes, I kind of just tried not to get too much salt, and because the floaty stuff goes to the top when you shake a spice, and the salt stays at the bottom usually. So that's about all I can defer
So
out
we have
there.
salt, pepper, coriander, and celery seed.
Yeah, I'd say that's and possibly, like, I don't know if they're using a lemon flavored something, but maybe not.
I'm just going to write maybe lemon flavored. Okay. So, should we open the envelope now?
Maybe you
wanna
can
wait?
wait till after the 9:30 break.
All right, we'll keep the suspense, because this is.
and he doesn't know what's in it either, so it's just his guess and my guess. And
Correct. You are
No,
absolutely.
he doesn't know either.
So then we're gonna have to try and blend some
of.
of our guesses up and see if they taste like this. Is, I guess, the scenario.
And we can do that. So, getting back to his list, which we have not managed
Well, wait
to
a minute.
touch
Hold
at all.
on.
Yes.
Forget that.
What?
We're coming very quickly into grilling season.
Aha! We want to talk about grills.
Well, Memorial Day weekend's coming up in 2 weeks.
Oh,
Okay.
So grilling season. What if you want to just do more than the burgers and the dogs, and you want to get a little adventurous? What should you go looking for in the ye olde butcher shop?
well, I like safety first. I like sausages are always a good way to go because you can good way to cook them. Different kinds of smoked sausages and kielbases and different things other than the hot dog that are great to eat. I mean, if you're more adventurous, let's talk about some tuna or some swordfish and with some some shavings or zest of citrus fruits and
How
a
about
little
that?
bit
Yeah,
of
but
tequila.
Swordfish on a grill.
Big sticking problem with fish.
Yeah.
Just make sure your grill is hot and preheated properly. You wire brush it really good. Inspect it to make sure there's no wires from your wire brush in the griddles before you start cooking.
Do you spray? Could you spray yours for nonstick?
So here I'll give you you marinate the fish with the lemon zest and herbs and a little bit of oil and salt and pepper for a little while in the refrigerator.
Now, this is a swordfish, or
I'm saying swordfish or tuna.
Something
we'll
heavier
both grill the
duty.
same way. Swordfish you cook all the way through. Tuna you actually most people will just get grill marks on and then let it sit for a minute and then eat it medium rare. But the tuna swordfish is recommended to cook to 135 degrees or whatever. But marinate it. Tap off your marinade, and then spray your piece of fish just a little bit off to the side, and then put it on the hot seasoned grates.
So spray with a little nonstick?
Yeah. But only after you've cleaned those grates and they're hot. And usually I take a paper towel or a rag that I've designated as my grease towel, I call it, for the grill top, and I'll wipe my grates with that oil too a little bit while I'm brushing it with the brush. Make sure that it's seasoned like we would a cast iron pan. Then food won't stick.
Now on the grill, can you cook in a small cast iron pan? Would it be?
You can definitely put the pan in and preheat the pan.
I mean, you won't get the same grill marks, but if you want to cook just on one source, you don't want to heat up your kitchen or whatever.
Yeah, you can totally preheat your cast iron pan in your grill while it's closed and get it up to temperature hot enough to sear things. A lot of grills today have a little burner on the side, which is awesome. But I've often put a little cast iron pan in the grill top
to cook something like a fish or a small steak or
something that will
like
fall
that.
through the grates, or that you don't
Could fall apart.
Some people don't like char on there when you're doing a barbecue. So if you have a little area where you can cook a burger that doesn't get char grilled or something like that, it's also nice for some people.
I did the swordfish, and I had trouble with it falling through.
And you overcooked it, because if it's starting to fall apart, it's definitely done.
Too long.
It's about 3 minutes
Good
on
to
each. And turn it 4 times.
My favorite is pork chops on the grill.
Oh, delicious.
Pork chops on the grill.
Meat on the bone is good on the grill because it kind of drips in it. It gets all that nice flavor, and the bone, all the sinuous tissue cooks off, so you can eat all that stuff afterwards. Yummy, yummy.
Have you ever tried that, Peter?
What's that?
Pork chops on the grill?
Oh yeah, but I like to marinate them or put a dry rub on them.
Mm-hmm. I usually marinate them. Yeah.
Like I'll get a almost like a rib rub, and I'll just sprinkle it on there just to give it a little bit of flavor. And when you get to the second side, it starts soaking in a little bit.
Yeah.
And it gives it just a little bit of kick.
Crusty on one side and juicy on the other.
Yep.
So what would be your favorite cut of beef to barbecue? Because when we go to the store, we don't have your knowledge.
Because you can't do a prime rib on the grill, right?
Well, you can. It just takes a long time. So barbecue is a loose word, right? So low and slow barbecue or grilling,
which is smoking,
right? Well, you don't have to put wood in the smoker to barbecue low and slow. You can just
that's true.
You can low temperature your grill.
Or you can low temperature the smoker. You don't have to add wood to it, I guess.
Yeah, you use it as a roaster, for that matter. I did while I was at Tanglewood. I worked for a summer at Tanglewood, I was a chef of Highwood Manor, which was one of their fine dining supper clubs, and we put on a show, or a buffet, before each of the 3 shows for the season. Well, their 4th of July show was Leanne Rimes was their headliner that year, and I was doing the buffet for her crew and her family. I found a smoker on the side of the road, but it was a weird high-temperature smoker that didn't really smoke well, so I did smoke a prime rib. And it came out beautiful because it just slow cooked it with just enough wood, and it slowly came onto the outside.
For a home cook, how hard is it to do a prime rib? I mean, some people get really intimidated by that.
Well, it's a process that I'm more than happy to train people on how to cook a prime rib. I won't give all the secrets away here on the radio today,
right.
But it's not that difficult to do in your own home. A lot of the new, in the grill outside, controlling the temperature is the biggest thing. But if you've learned how to control your temperature, or you have nowadays some of them are pretty precise with their thermostats, then you can do just about anything with a precise thermostat.
Because the big thing about, and I still have to get one of these, is smoking and stuff like that. You really need a meat thermometer that I don't have yet. It's the best way to. It's not about time; it's about temperature.
Right. And you're probably talking about the ones that you are insert into the meat, and then
you get
from outside
like the center,
you can see
the center temperature of the meat.
Yeah,
Because right now I'm doing it by best guess.
Right. That's the home cook. The thermometer makes it easier for the home cook. There are, if you look probably on the internet, that I was trained in many years ago, charts that are based on weight, time, and temperature. So as long as
I've seen those too.
If you have precise temperature control and you know your weight, you can calculate the time. Big hotels, when they cook 10 or 12 prime ribs at a time in their ovens, they have these big charts and calculators and formulas to come up with the exact amount of time that
right.
to be in the
and that's kind of what I'm doing with the stuff that I'm doing with my, Sans thermometer.
Right.
I've been, there's charts you can find on the internet. I'm not going to tell people where because I'm
That's
giving
the way
away all
they
the
used to
secrets.
do it.
But I'm kind of coming within the time, and I'm kind of guesstimating. I need to go a little bit over here or over there.
And you can tell by a piece of meat sometimes where if it's got more sinuous tissue or it's harder, then it's going to take a little more time for that dense piece to get to that proper 192 degrees to break down the tissue.
Yep.
Interesting.
She's like
glazing
over.
No. When my family was young, I cooked a lot of roast because we had a lot of beef, we had a lot of ham, we had a lot of pork roast. The only thing I couldn't cook was lamb because my daughter's allergic. But other than that, I always cooked huge roast. My favorite roast was the rib roast.
And that's the difference, too, between like cooking a roast or a prime rib where we're cooking it to 125 degrees because we want, or 130 degrees because we want it rare, medium rare because we're going to eat it like roast, versus barbecue, low and slow, where we're letting the meat release its juices at the secondary cooking. Because well done meat is 160, 170 degrees, and that's when it's gray and dry. But if you continue cooking a piece that has lots of fat and tissue in it to that 190 to 195 degrees, it releases, that tissue melts. And
it bastes.
And it makes the meat juicy again. And as long as it doesn't go above 200 where it pushes that out, you have the optimal low and slow barbecued meats.
So when people say, how do you like your meat done, what gradient do you think is the best for flavor?
That's
rare, medium
personal
rare,
preference.
Well,
I mean,
it doesn't seem to matter.
My father-in-law likes it mooing.
Right. If you like the taste of meat and the way that it is raw, then rare is going to give you cow taste. And medium well is going to, where the flavors are beginning to cook into the meat, are going to give you more of the flavor permeating the meat, and then over that you're pushing the flavor back out again. So.
I see. So we're overdue for another break, Peter. All righty, we will go to one more break, and then we'll have the unveiling of his opinion. We'll even get a drum roll. Here we go.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley, with convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut. Visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
And we are back. And it is almost time to wrap it up. And before we go, we got
a little time here.
We do have
one more break before the top of the hour.
Pushing us out the door.
But no, absolutely not.
All right,
you got a hot date, Kathy.
Absolutely not. But I have.
Yeah, with the pasture.
The cows are calling.
I know. I have to bring the cows, and they were awful yesterday. They were awful.
We need to bring them in early today because we're going to have severe thunderstorms this afternoon. Anytime after 3 o'clock. Is what they're saying.
No, I bring them in when I got home. When I get home,
I'm just saying, anytime after 3 o'clock. Today is not a good day to mow the lawn. Wednesday, Thursday, good days to mow the lawn.
Nice.
Also, good days to smoke because I don't have a lean-to or something I can operate in the rain with an electrical device.
Ooh, no, not a good
So
idea.
it stays covered until I have good weather.
A fair weather smoker.
Yes, fair weather smoker. By the way, I found the hardest thing on pork is to remove the skin.
It's attached.
it's the hide. You know what I mean?
Right.
very
The actual
hard.
part where
Yeah,
there might
it
still be
is.
a hair or two sticking out if they didn't do a really good job.
Well, not only that, but for most times to cook it, you really need to get that off because it inhibits the smoking process and things
Right.
like
No
that.
flavor will cut through that unless you score it really, really deep.
Right. And even then, you score stuff. But I bought a picnic shoulder, and I got most of the skin off that, but that was a pain in the behind.
And some people do cook it with that skin on because that crackling pork skin is a delicacy as well.
Oh yeah, crackling. Yeah, I understand that part of it.
So some
You
people
can smoke
will leave it right on and smoke it and leave it on there and let the fat baste it, but then that piece of meat won't get as much smoke underneath.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little tips and tricks, talking shop.
I leave it on because I put it in the oven and I leave it on, and it's easier to get it off after it's been cooking.
There's the Latin American restaurant on Franklin Street. They have the pork and rice dinner with the that crackling piece of pork on top. Just so
the dog
yummy.
likes it.
Oh yeah,
The dog likes it.
I like it.
Santiago's, you mean?
Yes, them delicious.
Yeah. Okay. Are we ready?
Let's see what Ken
We
thought.
ready for the unveiling?
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see what
Spices. What did I say?
Chef thought.
Salt, pepper, coriander, celery seed, and maybe some lemon. I don't know where that comes from though. So
Maybe some lemons.
let's see what Ken's guess.
Like a
This is
lemongrass
Ken's.
powder.
And we don't have.
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Okay.
Salt, pepper, granulated garlic,
Yeah. Okay. I might miss that,
granulated
probably.
onion, and celery powder.
I definitely got some coriander, I think, but I may have skipped over the garlic. And again, all I got was the pepper off the top, and then the celery, and what I thought was maybe coriander. But interesting.
Remember, he's also drinking an alcoholic beverage most times he's tasting this. So,
if I were a place making a Bloody Mary salt, I would put garlic and celery and an onion in that probably, and then I would rim the glass with Worcestershire sauce or something. Why not? Right.
Well, I will give this to him. This is my task. My job here is done.
Is that why you were ready to go?
You guys have it now because this was my. Well, I had a list, and Peter said throw it out. So,
Did you hear that, Ken?
He said.
No, you could just do them on the list
Well,
now.
actually, the only thing we didn't really get to was the buffet and your favorite item to display.
Oh, there's so many fun things to display. So as I was talking about the Tanglewood gig I got to do, the whole point of that was to put on a buffet before each of those performances for people that donated over $10,000 to the symphony.
So we're not invited to that one.
I don't know. You could buy tickets. I think it was like $100 a head to get into the meal.
Still we're not invited.
But it was really neat. So every time they had a performance, I did my homework, and because I liked music a lot back, and I themed the buffet to go with the evening's performance. So that was really neat. They did the story of Don Juan, the Great Lover. And so that night I put 23 different aphrodisiacs from all over the world, all displayed in neat ways.
This would have gone well with the earlier conversation, wouldn't it?
The night they
Not necessarily, no.
The night they did the German opera, I had all of the servers wear lederhosen and classic German attire. We had schnitzels and sausages hanging from the ceiling, and the whole meal was themed. So I really enjoy buffets to theme it with the event. That's, I guess, what I was trying to say. Some of my favorite things to showcase are like a whole fish, or I did a chicken wing buffet for the 4th of July many years ago, and that wasn't technically chicken wings. I had capon wings and turkey wings and chicken wings and wings from small, like Cornish game hens, all displayed. So it was like this. Everything was a different size, but they're all the same shape of different. Each one had a different flavor, and fun things like that, matching up and pairing. Working with spaces. I'm doing a party at a house party for 20 people this coming weekend, and it's going to feature. It's a beautiful house, beautifully laid out, game room, wine cellar, kitchen. So I'm actually doing a station in each of the rooms that flows with the decor and the lightings and the colors. Try and pair the food and all the different display to go along with the room itself. So that's a lot of fun. The highlight of that one is going to be. One of my favorites to do on a carving station or buffet is beef Wellington.
Now, we've talked a lot about the
I've only
meat
had
portion.
beef Wellington once. That's
had
not an easy thing. That's not an easy dish to make, is it?
It's
because you got to get the
steps.
puff pastry right, and then everything's got to be at the right temperature at the right time.
Yeah,
it's a bit precise.
It is precise. It's not something to just play around with unless you're going to take the time to study the process, because it does, you have to sear the meat to the right temperature in order for it to be finally cooked the right way when the puff pastry is done, grinding your mushrooms.
And you can
onions
Wellington other things too.
Well, then it becomes a different thing. We talked about this that time a while back. With the beef Wellington is named after the boot, has to do with the boot, and his leg was cut off, and the different layers.
Right,
so you've got a crust pastry, and then mushrooms and onions, and then a liver pate, and then the meat in the middle. So it's a delicious dish. But when you make it, you can ornate the top of the puff pastry as you cook. So when you put it out on a cutting board, you see the the display of the meat, and you can slice it, and it looks really pretty with lots of the sauces on the side and a little bit of pretty stuff around it, green things, some kale leaves maybe or whatnot.
Yeah, what about the side dishes? We've talked a lot about the meat portions and the fish and
summer side dishes.
Side dishes, yeah, some side dishes we would want to use.
Well, it's all
and
me.
we can
I
grill
try and work
those too, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Try and work seasonally. So we're spinach, asparagus, early peas, early beans. Are all,
I love squash season.
So yeah, squash
love-
season goes the whole.
I understand,
year,
but I love just sautéing some squash, a little bit of butter and onion or garlic or something. Yummy.
My go-to mixed vegetable for years and years in both of the last two restaurants. Farmer Fran has a farm in Russell, and he grows some of the most beautiful vegetables for my different restaurants. And his squash is always perfection, tender, the right size, zucchini summer squash. And so, almost from the point of its earliest being available, I would always run a mixed vegetable of just summer squash, zucchini, some fresh local peppers, and some onions.
Nice.
And it's just a little bit of fresh herbs mixed in there, salt and pepper, and let them roast them in the oven just enough, and that's
And then
delicious.
comes the corn season.
And then corn. You love corn. Corn on the cob, corn
Who
off the cob,
doesn't?
Mexi-corn. I love Mexi-corn. Cut it off the cob with a little bit of jalapeno peppers and some red and yellow bell peppers, and a little bit of cumin and a little bit of Southwest spices, and boom.
We have a lot of trouble, this will surprise you, with the coyotes. They love sweet corn.
I had friends in Huntington had to put electric fence around their corn because of the coyotes. Yeah, that's, lots of the vegetables are great, and I just like to let them speak for themselves. Salt, pepper, the tiniest bit of oil, butter is more wholesome than oil, honestly, and has the same amount of calories. So
Really, that's interesting.
Look at it that way.
I'd rather saute with butter.
Really?
Just use it. You know what I mean? Because if you're going to use a fat, a butter's actually a sweeter source of the fat than, I save bacon grease.
Well, you can definitely I was going to say a piece of pancetta, like we were talking before. That thinnest slice of pancetta from the deli to start in the pan with, and then some healthier oil at least gives you the flavor of the bacon.
I harvest when I made the pork belly, when I was frying on the grill top. I let the oil drip down and I save that, because I've also done confit. I've done pork belly confit. That takes a long time. You have to have a lot of grease to do that.
Yes.
But it's unbelievable when it comes out. Confit is cooking it in the same oil that it's the same, animal fat, but usually it's the same animal fat of the product.
Right. So you if you were to not exactly the same, but when I talked about how when I get a whole piece of beef, I save all the fat and sinuous tissue and cook it down so that I can save the fat or tallow, and it's great for frying food. And the fried chicken and beef tallow is probably the finest fried chicken I've ever had.
Try that.
Yeah.
And we are
Just
up to
render it down.
Our last break, and we will be back shortly and wrap it up.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com, offering Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Information on all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area is available online at Xfinity.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Thursday morning from 6 till 8, it's Patrick Berry, owner of the Westfield News Group.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
And we are back for our last couple of minutes here. And Chef, is there anything else you want to toss at us or let us know or share or anything you're doing? And whatever.
I'm available if if you have a venue where you'd like to have an event, or at a home event, or if you're interested in the meal plans, you can look up my information at chefjohnslattery.com, and I'm happy to help with all kinds of culinary needs. So.
And that's also with personal needs that they have in their home, but also for businesses. Right.
Hospitality industry consultant is the other part of my job. If a larger operation needs a hand for a day or a week or a month or interim position, I'm also available for that as well as my schedule permits. I have pretty much an open calendar, and I fill it in with whatever kind of jobs that people need. And if I'm available, I'll be more than happy to help.
Good to know.
Have you looked at the MGM Springfield job list?
I have, actually.
Because they're looking for a lot of executive chefs over there.
They are. They're looking for a lot of. What's interesting is the two main restaurants that they're open. They have 3 food venues that they're opening, and the 2 main venues. One is an Italian restaurant, and the other is going to be a steakhouse. Now, the Italian restaurant has a famous Michelin star chef. Who attached to it, and they're hiring an executive chef to run it for him on location. The steakhouse has one of the winners of Hell's Kitchen, who just spent 2.5 years at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant at Caesar's Palace, is coming to run the fine dining steakhouse.
Oh, so they're moving them out here.
So that's pretty neat.
That's a her, I think.
She won, yeah, and it's pretty neat. I actually, in my consulting level, I kind of just I've thrown my hat into. If they
say,
like
hey,
my
I'm
help.
Here.
Well, not that I want to be a chef in one of those positions necessarily in the big corporate world. I kind of like what I'm doing now and being able to spend time with my family. But it's really neat. They're working the restaurant I opened in downtown Springfield called Currents at the Springfield Marriott at the
I know
time.
What you're talking about.
With the executive chef there, and I was the restaurant chef. Is exactly what they're trying to do: bring in native cuisine and working with farmers locally. So I have some of those connections, and I've reached out to see if they're interested in any of that. Neat position for me, I think, would have been maybe if I were in that, would be the general manager of that steakhouse, because I had my own steakhouse at Fort Main Street where I aged all my own beef, and I'm really familiar with that process.
Street, yep.
And it'd be really interesting to see how they're taking it on the corporate level with this talented young lady and building up as part of their facility. So I'm interested to see how downtown Springfield goes. But did anybody hear the rumor that they might buy a casino in Boston?
That's done.
Yeah, they bought it?
No.
They didn't get it.
The guy that took over Wynn. After the Me Too incident, the guy who took over Wynn said, we're not selling it.
Oh.
So that got squashed pretty quick, because that was right around the time they were announcing their opening date, and there was rumors flying around, and we had somebody from HR on here, and she said, I really can't talk about it. And the thing that upset me is they knew the next day they announced their opening date on 22 and 40 big live shot. And she knew that day, and I was like, we've given you more airtime than they have.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Well,
that's
good for the future down to Springfield, because that was really scary for a couple of days where that question was out there that they were only allowed to have one casino in the state. So where were they
going to
do?
Yeah.
And I could see a big company like that just dropping all the money they spent to move to a bigger market. So
they would sell it.
Right. Well, exactly.
They would sell it off, but I told them they also need to have a radio studio there so we can come visit often. Since Channel 40 is going to have a remote studio there.
Well, that sounds like fun.
They're going to have a Springfield bureau, downtown bureau.
I didn't know.
Yeah, they made their deal. They're smart. I mean, it's smart. I've always asked for a radio studio down there that we can come down, plop in, do a couple shows, maybe when the big entertainers coming in, or just to go visit.
Yep, that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's so much potential down there, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they develop it all. Actually, it's pretty exciting. So.
That's right.
I want to go visit the bowling alley.
It's almost time to wrap it up. We've only got a few more minutes here, so I do want to get in this information. That's what's coming up. Next week on Ken's Den, he has Bill Gumlaw coming in. He was a retired Westfield School art teacher, but he was also a member of the 5th generation. Unfortunately, I had to look that up.
The band?
Yes.
He posted something, a picture with somebody who just passed away. The one that played Superman's girlfriend. What's her name?
Margot Kidder.
Margot Kidder just passed away. He had a picture with her and an autograph with her that he posted, I noticed.
Interesting. Well, I've known him as a co-teacher, but that's it. 2 weeks from now, you are doing a live remote at Westfield Technical. Is that correct?
Are you joining us?
I will if they need me, and you are going to be talking to the
for coffee and Danish?
Ooh.
I love their Danish. Oh.
Is this an open invite?
Yeah.
You can come hang out if you want to.
And then
Have you been in their kitchen?
I have. They do a great job. I've dined in the restaurant a few times. My wife and I have gone there.
I had a stuffed pork chop last week or the week before. That was
Oh yeah,
it was good.
At the beginning of the school year, my son is a freshman at the school, so he was in the rotations, and he was in the kitchen rotation.
The one days.
And so we had having background in the kitchen, he was really helpful and was cooking up a storm in his short 2 weeks there. But we went and had lunch. That was great to see all of them.
Well, that will be in 2 weeks. So come on down. 3 weeks from now, they will be discussing the city budget with Brent Bean and Dave Flaherty. And then 4 weeks from now, Dan Paquette is back with Bruce Cordes. I don't know if Bruce has been writing a really in-depth study about the whip industry in Westfield, and I can't tell you about it because he said he would have to kill me. But
That's
it's
cool.
Really, that he's going to kill me. Thank you.
No, that you can't talk about it. That it's going to be wait for the
secret.
reveal.
Yeah.
It's in the making.
Reveal
It's not
parties
done
are
yet,
all the
so
rage now.
It's he's done a fantastic job on it, and it's a great asset to Westfield.
That's outstanding.
So, tell me though, what time are the meals at Westfield Tech?
10:45 to 12:30.
Are they every day?
No, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday they're open.
And every other Friday is a buffet or something.
No, it's almost every Friday.
Oh, is it? Yeah, awesome.
Except if like there's some days where they have some stuff going on. Last week, I don't even know if they were open on Friday because they had a special luncheon for alums that they were giving shop tours.
That's
and
right.
But
things like
Wednesday
saw
and
that.
Thursday, it's open like a restaurant, and
Yeah.
it's really great.
soup
experience.
sandwich, a couple of entrees that they have, and it's all stuff they're learning. So what my cool thing is the buffet, and see what they've been doing for the week.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All the entrees for the week and things like
And
that.
the
they have.
desserts, they have to practice their desserts, and I don't mind
Yes.
tasting those either to make sure
Yes.
they're good.
Cheesecakes are always
Well,
good.
I'm only testing when I go, and all those breakfasts, the muffins, oh my
The best buffet they do.
so good.
The best buffet they do is breakfast.
Oh, it's
When they
so
do a
good.
breakfast for lunch, that is the best buffet because
Really?
they have carving stations and they handmade omelets and things like that. The kids love it.
Good practice, good fun, and it's nice for they give that experience too. Because as a chef, you're in the back cooking all the time, and you forget about that front of the house experience. And it's good to get them out there and interact because it really builds. That's I was trained.
They do rotate through too.
By Marriott and Ritz-Carlton with the hospitality skills. And they really encourage the chefs to go talk to their customers and to be visible, to not be afraid and hide in the kitchen because it's part of the culture of American eating is we want to embrace the people that prepare our food and we want to thank them for coming. So it's a good thing.
Well, that's become a matter. Of course, I've been watching, Food Network stuff that they, go talk to your customers because that's how you're going to get a feedback whether you're failing in the back end or not. If they're saying, hey, this is really good or, that was really cool or, whatever, you're going to get positive feedback. If you just stay in the kitchen all the time, you don't know what's going on really out there.
Right. So
That was-
And I
it's
know
good
you
that
were
they
good
cross-
about that. You were good about that. Even at 4 Main Street, you used to come out.
Well, from the very beginning, when we opened Currents and such, like I said, it's just been ingrained with me to go and to build that connection with my customers and my guests to make sure that they're enjoying their experience.
Because you were doing that around the same time we redid Champions, the video system in Champions.
Right. The
Early
sports bar
90s.
downtown. Now that's all gone. Well, it's in transition now to the Springfield Hotel, and what the future of the food and beverage operations there is up in the air too. So it'll be interesting to see how that part of that whole downtown Springfield revitalization project coming along.
Yeah, well, part of it is a foot traffic in Tower Square. People just go and come. They don't stay.
Right.
When there was a mall there, people used to stay. They had a reason to stay.
Well, now people, when you go to stay at a casino, a lot of times you'll stay at the hotel that's right outside the casino. Maybe for might be a little cheaper. Might give you a different benefit of being right in the casino. So that could give that building new
Life,
vitalization.
yeah.
I think.
It's all
Good
going to be a
times.
learning experience.
Excitement ensues in 2018 in Western Massachusetts.
No
It
kidding.
is. All righty, Peter, are we done?
We're done.
We are done. We managed to get through 2 hours. I didn't get anything
Easy
dumped.
peasy.
It was not a... I didn't get thrown off the air, so we're good.
I knew you
Ken,
could do
please
it.
come back.
And
Come
we'll
back.
see you next week.
Bombadita, 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 happy trails to you, bombadita, 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 bombadita. Who cares about the clouds Sing a song and think about sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again.